show presentation. Rahim. So, welcome everyone. Whether you are tuning in through Facebook Live or through the Zoom session, we welcome you. And we also welcome you to Better Together. So, you might be wondering, what is Better Together? So due to COVID-19, we are unable to host our annual Ramadan fundraising Iftar. And so instead, in lieu of this fundraising Iftar that gathers over 1,000 people every year during Ramadan, we've launched this Better Together campaign, which is an online interactive campaign. And it also hosts various online activities. So if you were looking at the website or our social media platforms, you've probably seen videos from local and guest imams, as well as earlier today, we had a trivia extravaganza, which we host every Saturday afternoon. Imam question and answer sessions every Sunday afternoon. We have a couple of youth contests. Because Ramadan this year is so different, we want you to showcase in a very creative way how you're spending your Ramadan this year. And there are prizes. The contest ends May 20th, and there is more information on our social media platforms. We also have silent auction, and near the end of the presentation, I'll walk you through the website so that you can see what it looks like to donate and to bid on silent auction items. So if you haven't purchased your Eid gifts, with the Eid being about a week away, you can donate and also purchase your Eid gifts that way as well, inshallah. And so in essence, the Better Together campaign wants each and every person within the Muslim community to contribute so that together we can help support our masjid and our community. And so we are suggesting that you donate $10 a week. And so this small weekly donation that is equal to less than a cup of coffee a day, or on average your monthly phone bill or internet bill. But together, each person's contribution will make a large lifetime impact, inshallah. And we'll walk you through the numbers as the presentation goes along, inshallah. And so where can you do all of this? Where can you donate? Our website is together2020.ca. And so where we got this idea from, we were inspired by the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that says, take up good deeds only as you are able to, for the best deeds are those that are done regularly, even if they are few. So $10 a week, like I mentioned, it's a small contribution, but over time, perpetually, and as a community collectively, we can make a huge impact.
So join the Better Together campaign if you haven't already done so, because together we are better. By joining the campaign, you'll help expand the education program offered by the London Muslim Mosque, fund our youth engagement initiatives, assist families who are in need during these challenging financial times, and investing in the future growth of the London Muslim Mosque. To learn more, please visit the www.together2020.ca or by going on the London Muslim Mosque website and clicking on the donation button there. For those of you who are not familiar, our vision as the London Muslim Mosque is to be a holistic Islamic community focused on education, jurisprudence, and social activities to help build a strong and united Muslim community in the Forest City. Our mission is to provide an environment for spiritual, intellectual, social, and physical balance in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah. We accomplish this through 4 key areas that Sahar is going to cover.
Yeah, so we accomplish our vision and our mission by the 4 departments that we have in the masjid. So as everyone knows, the masjid has, daily, Friday, and Taraweeh prayers. We are faced with some capacity issues, and as such, we've expanded into satellite locations around the city to accommodate the community. And these satellite locations actually also host Islamic education programs that we offer at the masjid and in these external locations. The masjid also has various committees that work very hard to put on social, recreational, and athletic events and programs. Through the Imam's office, we also offer counseling and funerals when those happen as well. But what you might not realize is that we have 3 other departments: the Quran Hifth program, which mashallah has just under 1,000 students, and it's expanded into satellite locations, like I mentioned, because the masjid is just at full capacity, almost bursting at the seams. And it's also expanded its lessons from just Quran memorization into other Quranic studies and knowledge. So for example, it teaches tafsir, fiqh, hadith, and aqidah classes as well. You might also be familiar with the Weekend London Islamic School, which has 460 students. And it's really aimed towards elementary school age students and teaches them Islamic and Arabic studies. And finally, the London Islamic School, which is the daily full-time school, which houses 250 full-time students from preschool all the way to grade 8, teaches the Ontario curriculum, as well as Islamic and Arabic studies, mashallah. So within those 4 departments, we have a huge team, a management and administrative team that do all the hard work. You're all familiar with Dr. Amin Al-Ali, our Imam, Sheikh Arij Anwar, our coordinator for Islamic education, Sister Buthaina Umar, our finance manager, Brother Nadir Abdul Majid, our operations manager, Sister Zainab Sahoui, our executive secretary, and then we have various principals for our different Islamic education programs. So Brother Lutfullah Khan as the principal for the Quran Hifth program, Sister Muna Dahab as the principal of the Weekend Islamic School, Brother Asad Chowdhury, the principal of the London Islamic School, and finally the secretary at the LIS, Sister Hasna Musa. So mashallah, I present to you our management and administrative team. Next, if you've been involved in our election process, you probably know that the London Muslim Mosque organization is governed by a board of directors. The chair of which is Brother Ali Jum'a. We have 2 vice chairs, Dr. Ahmed Hijazi and Brother Hassam Ansari, myself as secretary, Brother Hazim as treasurer, Brother Muhammad Umar as the chair of the London Islamic School, Sister Lana Al-Kadri and Brother Bilal Isa as representatives from the mosque board on the LIS board, Dr. Ali Ahmed as the liaison for the Weekend Islamic School as well as the Quran Hifth program, and Brother Ismail Sheikh and Brother Uqba Abdullah as directors on the board. Which reminds me, I didn't really introduce myself or Hazim at the beginning of this presentation, but there you go. This slide shows exactly what our positions are on the board of directors.
Thanks, Sahar. So the community might be thinking, what's been going on this past year at the mosque? So since last year's fundraiser during Ramadan, we raised $262,000 at last year's fundraiser due to the generous contributions of our members. That money was divided into 4 areas. $144,000 has been earmarked for the purchase of the next available summit home as part of our expansion process at the mosque. The next $47,000 was spent on security. As you all know, due to the unfortunate attacks on Islamic institutions over the last year, we've had to improve our security, improve equipment, and hire and train personnel, which we've done. Next, $24,000 was spent on LIS sponsorships. So that's for the London Islamic School sponsorships for students whose families can't cover the full tuition. And lastly, $47,000 was spent on Islamic education and youth engagement. This includes programs such as the Quran Hifth program, the youth conference, and sporting activities for our youth. As we look back with regards to the summit homes, currently the London Muslim Mosque owns 3 of 9 single detached homes located on the west side of Summit, right next to the masjid. The future expansion, as part of our goal, we are continuing to purchase homes along Summit as they become available. You might be thinking, why Summit? The location, based on input from our community, our location is of great importance and an advantage to all our members. With the city expanding to the north, west, and southwest, our location continues to be central to Muslims all over the city. And we are located on a main corridor to downtown from the west, and we're in close proximity to the to other institutions like the University of Western Ontario and University Hospital. Our size. The masjid is located on just under 3.5 acres of land, and has grown throughout the years. Over the last 50 years, there have been three additions onto the original masjid. And until the last decade, our facility met the needs of the community. But over the last 10 years, the growth of numbers of members in our community has outpaced our physical expansion. And the need to grow physically has never been greater. So that's why we're continuing to focus on our location. And by purchasing the properties on Summit, we'll be able to intensify the use of the current site and increase our capacities. Next, for age, we are the second oldest mosque in Canada and the oldest existing mosque in its location. And that speaks to the community supporting it and our neighbors accepting us. We run a lot of educational, as Sister Sahar mentioned, we run a daily London Islamic school. We run the weekend London Islamic school for youth who are not in the daily schools. And there's the Quran and other Islamic education programs that are offered at the masjid. Alhamdulillah, the London Muslim Mosque has been a hub for Muslims from all over the world who call London home. And we want to continue to grow as a diverse and multicultural community. With regards to our neighbors, as we are a long-standing member of our community, the London Muslim Mosque has built a positive relationship with our neighbors, our local and provincial and federal government, and with different faith groups throughout the city. And we will continue to build on these relationships, inshallah, moving forward. With regards to security, as I had mentioned, unfortunately, over the last year and a half, we've seen many incidents overseas and even in Canada where mosques have been targeted by people. This past year, we have completed a professional security assessment by a world-renowned security company. We have also obtained a security license so that we can hire and train licensed security guards. And by doing this in-house, we're able to reduce the overall security burden cost-wise on the mosque. We have currently 3 security guards who are trained and licensed, who are employed by the masjid, and will be there when we're able to open up again. And we have applied and are waiting for government funding to help fund the security portion of our budget.
All right. So we just looked at where the money went to in terms of the Summit homes, in terms of the security. And just to remind you, last year, we also fundraised for Islamic education programs. So this slide here represents the 3 educational programs that we have at the London Muslim Mosque. The London Islamic School, the Quran Hifth program, and the Weekend London Islamic School. So we use a lot of acronyms in this presentation. So just to familiarize yourself, LIS is the London Islamic School, QHP is the Quran Hifth program, WLIS is the Weekend Islamic School, inshallah. And so with your generosity and your support, we were able to provide subsidies for students last year, for the school year 2019-2020, for any student that could not afford the full tuition payment. So at the London Islamic School, we have 250 full-time students, and this is a day school that teaches the Ontario curriculum as well as Islamic education and Arabic studies. Of those 250 students, 40 were subsidized with your generosity from last year's fundraiser. Alhamdulillah. The Quran Hifth program has just under 1,000 students with 912 students, mashallah. The Quran Hifth program actually represents 58% of all the students that the London Muslim Mosque educates. And with your generosity from last year's fundraiser, we were able to subsidize the tuition of 100 students, mashallah, in the Quran Hifz program. And there's a little note there that says, due to COVID-19, those numbers have been reduced slightly to 685. Now, the Weekend Islamic School has 460 students, mashallah. And it's interesting to note that the students that come in on Saturday are different than the students that come in on Sunday. So in essence, we actually have 2 weekend schools, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. And on average, there's about 230 students, mashallah. If you add up all those numbers, you'll notice that we have over 1,600 students that are being educated Islamically through the London Muslim Mosque organization. And the percentages on the top of each one of those boxes represent how many students are in each one of those programs. So with your generosity, alhamdulillah, we are able to host these educational programs, a lot of which right now during COVID are moved online. And with your generosity, we are able to subsidize the tuition of these students who cannot afford it. So alhamdulillah, we are being accommodating, we are being inclusive, and this is all due to the grace of Allah as well as your generosity, alhamdulillah. So looking at the London Islamic School in particular, we have a couple of updates from the last year. So first of all, I don't know if you all know this, but alhamdulillah, the London Islamic School has been running for 23 years, since 1996. And not to date myself, but I was actually enrolled in the LIS when it first opened up in 96. And something I shared with Hazim earlier was that his mother was actually the librarian at the school at the time. So
I remember going in and helping her set up. So it's not that long ago. It flies by too quickly.
Yeah, 23 years just sounds like a really long time ago. But mashallah, we're very proud of the LIS as being the oldest Islamic school in the city, and a lot of its successes and accomplishments, alhamdulillah. This year, they're very proud to have had an initiative against bullying, where they had all their students involved with an anti-bullying initiative, as well as hosting their 5th annual book fair. And these are really good extracurricular activities to keep the students engaged. Now, due to COVID-19, as I was mentioning before, a lot of these classrooms, or actually at the LIS, all of the classrooms from JK to grade 8 have been moved online. So the teachers are providing online lessons, and the students are still being taught and are still learning during COVID-19 restrictions. So mashallah, that's a really good update from the LIS. Another thing that, another accomplishment that is very, alhamdulillah, that they're very proud of, and we are very proud of them, is the establishment of the curriculum for Arabic, Quran, and Islamic Studies, or AQIS. And so this was established this year, and alhamdulillah, they were successfully able to recruit Sheikh Harij Anwar as the coordinator for this curriculum. And then there were also initiatives to renovate the property. So there was a replacement of carpeting, the roof, over the gym, and parts of the LIS, as well as renovations to and upgrades to the parking lot, the HVAC system, and currently they're upgrading the kitchen that is adjacent to the gym, inshallah. And so hopefully once this COVID-19 pandemic is over, the Fatayda ladies will be able to return to a newly upgraded and renovated kitchen, inshallah, and we can support them, and you can support the masjid as well. Looking specifically at the Quran Hifz program, mashallah, it has expanded into various classrooms and locations. So it specifically currently actually has expanded into serving specific demographics and into various topics and satellite locations. So what I mean by that is, if we look at all these different lessons, each one of these is a different program under the umbrella of the Quran Hifz program. So you can see we are accommodating different demographics, different populations, whether it's boys, girls, university women, women speakers that are fluent in Arabic, English speakers. We have programs that are targeted towards homeschooled children. as well as children with special needs, for example, and then more intensive and more advanced classes as well. And as I had mentioned previously, there's also an expansion into the different topics that are taught. So for example, not just Quran memorization, but also looking at the grammar in Arabic, tajweed halaqas, stories of the Prophet, and then ones on salat and adhkar. So alhamdulillah, the Quran Hifz program is very successful. There's a lot of demand for it, and as such, we're able to open up into different populations, or to serve different populations, as well as different topics. And something that I had alluded to in the beginning of this presentation is that the masjid is bursting at the seams. There's just, mashallah, so much demand that we are actually expanding into external locations. So not only do we have these lessons at the Oxford Street Mosque location, we also are hosting them at the Bostwick YMCA, the Stony Creek YMCA, and more recently at Banting Secondary School. So alhamdulillah, with your interest, with your donations, with your support, we're able to expand our programs at the masjid and beyond. Now, if we look at youth engagement, this is something that we really focused on this year. So last year at the annual fundraiser, we created a fund with your support to engage our youth. Because at the end of the day, these youth are who our leaders are going to be in the future. And so we want to engage them, attract them, bring them to the masjid, educate them, and so on, so that they can serve us in the future. So this year, we established the Muslim Youth Committee, or MYC, and through this committee, the youth got together. It's created for the youth, by the youth, and they host events to support their education, their recreation, and social activities. So for example, they had a Niagara trip, they had Qiyam nights, they hosted 2 Eid festivals last year. So these were specific for Muslim youth. They were hosted at the masjid for Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. They also hosted 2 annual basketball tournaments and weekly chess clubs. And then as a way to give back to the community, they had an initiative where they prepared donation packages for the homeless. So mashallah, we're very proud of the Muslim Youth Committee. They're restructuring again this year with new people, new blood, and we look forward to seeing what they can do for us in the future. But with your support, we need the funding to help support them, inshallah. We're also holding winter and March break sports camps. And this year we provided the high school MSAs with carpets for them to pray Dhuhr and Friday prayer at their high schools. So mashallah, that is something that I wasn't fortunate enough to have while I was in high school, to have a huge Muslim population that prayed regularly at school. But as you can see in the picture on the top left-hand corner, mashallah, on a daily basis, there are a group of Muslims that get together, that pray in their schools, and we provided them with the carpets to accommodate that prayer. So continuing on with youth engagement, we're also very proud of our sports programs that we have at the masjid. So the London Royals basketball teams are under the youth committee, and they have been running for 3 years, mashallah. They have a female team and a male team that compete. And we've also established a Taekwondo program and a Judo program. So mashallah, we have the self-defense and the martial arts well represented at the masjid. And we have these programs for both men and women. And this is only possible because of your generosity, after, of course, the grace and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right, so we've looked at sports programs, we've looked at social and recreational programs. When it comes to Islamic education, we're also engaging the youth that way. And so we mentioned how Sheikh Arij was recruited at the London Islamic School as the AQIS coordinator, but he is also on the mosque side as the coordinator of Islamic education. And so there's a huge focus on the youth when it comes to coordinating their Islamic education, but also he is offering different programs for the full community. So you've probably seen every day at 6 o'clock on Facebook Live and on Zoom, he is offering a juz' a day, which is a program that goes through one chapter or one juz' of the Quran and explains it every single day during Ramadan. So mashallah, if you haven't attended that, I highly recommend you do. So that's on a daily basis. Before COVID-19, he was also offering weekly programs. One of them is Deen for Teens. And so this was a program that was offered to teenagers at the masjid to highlight important themes or the foundations of their religion, to give them an understanding. So these might be students that don't go to the London Islamic School or the weekend school, or perhaps they're an older demographic. So high school students, we are providing them with this program so that they can learn more about their religion, inshallah. Another weekly program that he was offering before COVID-19 is Why Believe, and this was to accommodate the students at the university level. So we teamed up with Western MSA and offered this program. And again, this highlighted important themes and questions that our youth have, and he was able to deliver this information in a very interactive and useful way, mashallah. And then finally, on a monthly basis, we're providing education through workshops on Ramadan preparation, zakat al-mal, coping with sickness, just to name a few that were prepared or presented within the last few months. Moving on, one of the last things we'll talk about with youth engagement is, mashallah, the youth conference that we host. So this year, this took place in February, and this was the 3rd annual conference. And the topic was Today's Youth, Tomorrow's Leaders. And it really highlighted leadership and community service. And it's because our youth today are our leaders tomorrow. And mashallah, we had over 200 youth come out to this event. It was a totally free event, so it was very accommodating, very inclusive. And we also had students that came from outside of the city. There was a huge demand on it. And through this 2-day conference, the students were exposed to keynote speakers, interactive workshops, hands-on activities, and we had many door prize giveaways to engage the youth and keep them excited about the program, alhamdulillah.
Yes, actually, and to add to that, I think they ended up, they had more demand than the space that they had. So we have a shortage of space for the services that even the youth are throwing for themselves. So inshallah, I mean, it's amazing that they put that together. It was a huge success. There's a huge demand. Inshallah, next year we can help them make it bigger and accommodate more people, more youth.
There was definitely a gap that had to take place, where there was far more registrants than we could hold, and there was a waiting list and so on and so forth. So 100%, if we can offer a bigger space or more, resources to put this on, the demand is there.
Inshallah. So what are our needs for 2020? That's the big question now. So looking forward to 2020, we've got an optimistic goal to raise $350,000 this Ramadan to help support the programs that Sahar has been talking about. As you'll see, operational supports for the masjid, we're looking for about $100,000 for operational supports for the masjid, $25,000 for COVID-19 emergency fund that we've set up to help families that are in need during these times. For Islamic education, we're looking to fundraise $100,000 to help with the programs that we run and that are growing. And another $25,000 for youth engagement, again, to run activities such as the youth conference, youth sports, and to grow that connection and bring the youth to the masjid. Lastly, $100,000 is what we're trying to raise for future investments, and that is growth investments for the masjid. Over 20, sorry, we'll move on, I guess. Under our operational supports, people might be wondering what they are. Even though the masjid is unfortunately closed at this time, we're still support, we still have bills that we have to pay. And as you might know, because the masjid is closed, our donation and income has significantly decreased. So just to give people an idea, in March, which we were open for the first part of March, the difference between what we raised in March and in February, we were actually down over $56,000 in donations between the months of February and March. And for April, as you can see, because the masjid is still not open, that decrease is going to be even more. As you all know, because we're closed, we're not able to collect the funds that we would typically collect from the donation bins. And for people that are not aware, they are a significant amount. So the annual donations that we receive in the donation bins in the mosque and from people donating money at the mosque is around $30,000 a month. On top of that, because the facility is closed, our sisters that donate their time and make the fatayr for our community, they generally raise around $14,000 in income from the fatayr sales. So those are huge. So those two items alone are about $44,000 of income that we're not generating. So to help offset those the drop in revenue, while we're still continue to have bills. So there are bills that we can't get rid of, such as utilities. There's essential staff that are still working, whose salaries we are funding. We have applied for all grants from the government that were available to us. So alhamdulillah, that's helped out, but there's still the need, and the need will be growing moving forward. As long as the masjid is closed, we're going to have that need. Next, we have the COVID-19 Emergency Fund. The COVID-19 Emergency Fund is for those, it's meant to support, there's roughly 200 London Muslim families that this fund is supporting. And those are families that unfortunately don't qualify for any of the government funding that is available. So for those in need, the masjid is trying its best to support those members through this fund. And if you or anyone you know runs into difficulties because of the situation that we are in, there is an application online on our website that is available. So if you know anybody who's in need, you can direct them to our website to fill out an application there. This information is kept private, so if they are, just direct them there. Next, the $100,000 earmarked that we're looking to fundraise for Islamic education actually is divided into two parts. First, the Quran Hifz program. So as Sister Sahar mentioned, the program encompasses not just Quran Hifz, it encompasses Tajweed, Hifz, programs for the youth, programs for the women in our community, for people with special needs. There's a whole bunch of programs that fall under the Quran Hifz program that we're looking to help fund and grow. So with your generous donations, we're able to continue to offer the programs, continue to grow the programs, and the $50,000 would also help to support up to 50 students next year who are not able to cover the tuitions for these courses, right? In addition to operating the courses. The next half of that 100,000 that we're trying to raise is to go to the London Islamic School, so the LIS, and that helps to cover expenses at the school, which include support for up to 40 of the students whose families can't cover the full tuition. Moving on, $25,000 for the youth engagement is to support athletic, educational, and social programs for the youth. And those, again, are examples of those were the youth conference, the basketball teams that we run for the boys and the girls, and the other sporting activities such as the taekwondo or the jiu-jitsu that we run. There are other activities to try to retain the youth, to bring them into the masjid, help them get to know one another, build lifelong friendships that they'll carry forward from now on. And that just strengthens the community going forward and helps us to build future leaders in our community. And lastly, $100,000 is for future investment. And what's meant by that is expanding the facilities, the resources, and the capacity of our institution. As you know, from what Sahar has mentioned, we have 912 students in the Quran Hifz program, which is basically using up all of the space we have at the London Muslim Mosque. That is including the London Islamic School, the spaces in the mosque, upstairs, downstairs. We're bursting at the seams to the point where we're also running remote locations. The Islamic school has 250 students. We're now running at capacity. So right now there is a need to grow more than ever before, right? And that will be done through acquisitions and future development on the land right next to the masjid, and at looking at opportunities, not necessarily right at the location. Like we have our location, we can intensify the use there, inshallah. But we're also, looking around and seeing, are there other places where we can grow to help relieve the amount of capacity issues that we're seeing at the masjid? Inshallah, we can do that with your help and accommodate the community as it grows in the next years to come.
Yeah, exactly. So we just wanted to give you an update on our fundraising efforts so far. So this is the third week of Ramadan, the third week that we've launched this Better Together campaign. Just to give you a reminder, the website is together2020.ca. On the website, you can actually see every single day that we update the fundraising effort values. And so our goal is 350,000. As of about 2 hours ago, at about 2:30, we had just under 300 donors, mashallah, and we raised just over $130,000, which serves about 38% of our total goal raised, mashallah. And so something that's really important here is that we highlight and we take pride in the fact that we have 300 donors. We're not looking at a handful of heavy hitters or of donors that provide a large sum of money to sustain the masjid. We're looking at each individual within the community, engaging them and getting them to donate so that together we can provide services and programs from the masjid and thereby support our masjid and our community, inshallah. So, we want to give thanks to all of those donors, the 300 that we currently have, and everyone else that's going to contribute in the future. And as well as we want to thank our sponsors. We have 3 gold level sponsors, so we just want to give them a shout out. Magnificent Homes, Connected Gateway, Thompson Medical Center, and we have a new silver sponsor, which is Tech Drywall and Acoustics. So Jazākoum khair to all the donors and to our sponsors. And if you haven't done so yet, I urge you to go on to together2020.ca, the website that was specifically made for this campaign, and to get engaged, to join the campaign, and to donate. And so what I'd like to do now is just share with you my screen so that we can see the website together. So just bear with me for a moment. All right, so here we go. All right, Hazim, can you see my Safari screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So we're just going to go to together2020.ca, as we mentioned, and it'll take you to this screen. You're going to go to Learn More and Donate. So you'll see the Better Together information there. So it'll give you a breakdown of what we've been talking about through our presentation, Hazim and I. What we're suggesting is $10 a week. And we're reminded by the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that says the best deeds are those that are done regularly, even if they are few. And this just gives us an idea of, if we have 30,000 Muslims in London, that is an estimate that we hear all the time, and every person joins this campaign, then together we can make such a large impact. So if just 1,000 people join the campaign, if we multiply that by the yearly contribution of $520, we would have $520,000 every year for our community, our London Muslim community and the London Muslim Mosque, so that we can continue to host our programs and services, inshallah. And then if you continue going down, you'll see this is where I got the update from. So every day we are updating this value so that you can see how much has been raised. And this is also, this serves as a summary of the presentation that Hazim and I just presented to you of where the money is going to go to. So our goal this year again is $350,000. Where will your money go? And what impact will your money have? Now I just want to show you down here how you can donate. So I'm gonna show you how to donate on this website in a moment. But let's say you hear somebody that says, I want to donate, but I'm not tech savvy. I don't know what a website is. How else can they donate? Well, they can send a check in the mail with their donation, or they can call the executive secretary and Sister Zainab will help them with either processing their donation over the phone, or if they want to set up a pickup or drop off of their donation, she can help them also coordinate that. So let's say you are on this website, you want to donate, so you can click here to donate, and it's going to take you to this page here. And so we've set it up in a way that you can donate on a weekly, monthly, yearly, or a one-time basis. So what we're suggesting is you donate on a weekly basis, $10 a week, or the equivalent of $43 a month, $520 a year, or let's say you want to change that amount. So you want to pay on a monthly basis, you want to specify your own amount, you can type that in. So let's say you want to do $30 on a monthly basis. You add that to your basket. This will take you to the next page where you can process your donation. So by clicking here, it'll take you to the page to input all your information, your credit card information, your contact information, and so on. I'm just going to go back for a moment because there's another feature that we added onto the website that I want to show you, which is really relevant in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So this feature here of paying daily in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, if you click onto that, and if you donate $10 every single day in the last 10 days, what you're doing is you're guaranteeing that a donation is going to be made on Laylatul Qadr, inshallah. And so if Laylatul Qadr, as we know, is equivalent or better than 1,000 months, and you donate $10 on Laylatul Qadr, that is the equivalent of $300,000, inshallah, in the scale of your rewards. So we encourage people to donate on a daily basis in the last 10 nights. This will automatically be removed every night so that you're making use and benefiting from the nightly contribution. And it will stop at the end of Ramadan, inshallah. Another thing I wanted to show you was if you go to the top here, silent auction, we mentioned the silent auction. This is another way that you can donate. And if you haven't purchased your Eid gifts, this is also a way to go shopping and get some really cool gifts while also donating to the masjid. So there are many different options. So we have a gold bracelet that was donated, a men's travel kit, a woman's prayer rug, there are paintings and various other items that you can bid on. So let's say, for example, I look at the memory foam prayer rug and clothing set. It has a description here, it has pictures here, the value, how much longer the auction is going on for. So you have just under 7 hours, or you have 7 days to continue bidding. The current bid is $300. What you need to bid is $325 or more. You place your bid. You'll have to register and log in so that you can place your bid. And inshallah, that money will go towards the campaign. So it's a donation, but then you also receive something in return. So that is the silent auction. If you want to donate, so this is, moving away from the campaign just slightly, other funds that are very relevant at this time of the year are your zakat, for example. So on the same website, if you go to donate, this is where we just were with the Better Together campaign. There's also an opportunity to sponsor iftars during Ramadan, to pay your zakat al-fitr, to pay your zakat al-mal, and so on and so forth. So hopefully that will, hopefully that navigation through the system or through the site will help you with your donations. So just a reminder, together2020.ca.
Hey, Sahar, if I could just add to that.
Yep.
For Zakat al-Fitr, if people are wondering, what are we doing? Are we actually handing out meals? No, we're not handing out meals, but we are taking money and we are handing out the value of meals to people that are in need, and they're able to go to members who are teamed up with the masjid that will provide them with a meal. So we are paying, we're covering the expenses of meals in partnership with members, with sponsors who are providing meals to those in need.
Yep, absolutely. That's a very important point because we do get that question a lot. And so that concludes our formal presentation. We thank you very much for attending this presentation. We wish that we could interact with you and see you in a large gathering like we do every single year, but given the times, alhamdulillah, we had to do this online. If you do have any questions, we would be happy to answer them. If you can email us at fundraising@londonmosque.ca. Hopefully someone can type that into the chat for everyone to see. And then we can get back to you with the answers to those questions. Hazim, do you have any last words?
Not really, other than thank you to everybody who's joined us today. If you know of people who weren't able to make it, or people who didn't know about this event, please let them know. Please let them know how they can support the masjid moving forward, where they can pay their zakat al-fitr. And if you have any questions, yeah, like Sahar said, just feel free to contact us. Send us a message, or if you have any questions, you can always contact the secretary at the masjid, and she can help you as well.
Absolutely. So again, we want to thank all the donors. We want to thank all our sponsors. We want to remind you of the together2020.ca website. And if you have any questions or concerns or anything, you can email us at fundraising@londonmosque.ca. Jazākoum Allah khair. And inshallah, Ramadan Kareem to each and every one of you. As-salāmu alaykum.
Assalamu alaykum. Wa-alaykum assalam, sir.